All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SG Live 2019. It's getting late here, and we're excited to get some Super Metroid started for you guys. We're going to be showing a match of the Super Metroid Double Ante Bingo, also known as DAB Tournament. Tonight we've got two runners, MassHesteria and zeb316, who actually raced in the Any Percent tournament earlier today. Both ran really well. Zeb pulled out the win. On my right here is Stump. Stump, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Excellent. Is that a false start for us too? Are we still live?
We're still live.
Okay, cool. So we got a false start on the race, but yeah, we're ready to go here. And to briefly explain what Double Ante Bingo is, you see the bingo card, or you will see the bingo card here shortly on the screen. And basically, each runner selects one row or column, or even diagonal. It has to be a grouping of 5. They select what they believe is probably going to be the hardest grouping to force the other runner to do. And then for the other runner to complete the card, they have to not only do the row or column that was forced upon them, but they also have to do a second row or column or diagonal to finish. So that's the double part. So anyway, we're going to get started here. Could we get a confirmation real quick on what Mass and what Zeb are being forced to do here? So one of them's doing row 1, one of them's doing column 2? Okay. We'll try to get the information real quick. We couldn't quite hear over here the discussion they were having, so we're not sure which runner is being forced to do what, but we can find out here shortly. But as you can see, this is a category or a format that does require a series station, but this is actually a good thing in DAB because it gets really complicated. Even when you know which row or column you have to do, you have to really look at the entire scope of the card to figure out what you want to pair with it. So, Stump, what are a few tiles on this particular card that stand out to you that you think would be difficult?
Oh, one definite one is spring ball without grapple.
That's right, collecting spring ball without grapple beam. And the reason that's difficult is because you got to do the ice clip up the shack tool, right?
Yes.
Yeah, nobody really loves that trick, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Row 1 was assigned, so it looks like somebody's going to be forced into it. And then I believe column 2 was the other one. So that's 15 super missiles, defeat Crocomire, and skip high jump boots. That's a big one because skipping high jump boots in this game is not something that, you know, a ton of people typically do in a lot of the speed runs. So the vast majority of runners' muscle memory is built around having high jump boots in various places. It can get really tricky, especially if you pick up the speed booster, because later on down the line, if they get speed but have to skip high jump boots, speed booster actually causes your vertical jump height to even become less. So it can be really tricky, and you have to do a lot of wall jumps and different things to get around the map that you normally wouldn't. But here they are on the planet. They're going to head down and grab their morphing ball and their alpha missiles. And then from there, we'll kind of start seeing what they choose to do in terms of what they might pair. Even early on in a match, you can actually make a few decisions that might change the course of a normal any percent run or sort of any other category. Occasionally, people will go over and grab the beta missiles, but we'll kind of wait and see what they choose to do. So Zeb here's the first one at the bottom of the elevator here in Blue Brinstar. Going to pick up that morphing ball. Mass will be right behind. Looking at row 1, we have Norfair Reserve Tank or Wreck Ship Reserve Tank. The Norfair Reserve Tank is a lot easier to get in and of itself, but it just kind of depends on what else gets paired. 15 super missiles isn't too bad. Collecting spring ball but skipping grapple beam is that really tough tile. And then finishing in Craig's room, not something that's difficult to do, but can actually take up a lot of time depending on, you know, where you sort of finish some of your other objectives and having to track all the way back to Kraid's room. And then 25 plus power bombs is also something that it's not necessarily difficult, just takes a long time because there's only 50 power bombs in the whole game and they're kind of spread out. So we'll see which 25 they elect to pick up. All right, Zeb here in the pit room. Gonna head into the climb. This is one of the most famous and difficult rooms in the game. It's also obviously very early on in the run, so this is kind of one of those rooms that people typically like to learn as quickly as they can when they first get started with speedrunning Super Metroid. But Zeb having a very nice wall jump climb here. There's actually two methods that people typically use to get up this room. Some people do the wall jump climb as Zeb did. I think Mass is going to end up doing the ledge grab, but Mass just made the decision to go back down here. My guess is that he wanted to kill the pirates, activate the creatures, and then he's going to probably want to deboost to get this energy tank in the ceiling. That would be my guess as to why. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. First try. Normally you can't reach that energy tank just by jumping without high jump boots, but can use a nice deboost to get it. So that's an extra energy tank for him. Based on that decision, we'll see if I'm right or wrong here, but based on that decision, I'm going to assume that he was assigned column 2 to do, which is collect only one of various suit or gravity suit. Knowing what I know about Mass, I think he's going to obviously elect to collect gravity suit, but I don't think he's going to go to wreck ship first. I think he's actually going to go down to Norfair, do a little bit of hell running with some of his extra tanks, pick up speed booster, and use that to get over to the wreck ship. We'll see, but that's going to be my guess as to why he made that decision. So Stump, tell me a little bit. You and I had our first official DAB race earlier tonight. Why is DAB so interesting, and why can it be really difficult in comparison to like a normal speed run?
All the on the fly routing you have to do.
Definitely. Even right now, there's still times where people might not 100% know exactly what they want to do, but usually, like in my case, even if I make a mistake, I usually just make a decision and roll with it, because at a certain point, if you're thinking too hard about the card, you probably play a lot worse. So Zeb is heading down to Green Brinstar here. The decision to run into those pirates is also a telling one. That tells me he's probably not going to do Fantoon first in any capacity. Usually if people are planning to go to wreck ship without collecting any other E-tanks, they'll kill those pirates to save their health. So that would be my guess. Again, though, DAB can get really funky. I mean, there's all kinds of weird ways to route these things that you would never think of. So we'll just kind of wait and see what the runners are thinking. And Zeb getting a nice mock ball into the early supers. Sort of the first major trick that runners usually learn for this the speed run. That mock ball allows him to maintain his run speed through that door transition and actually have a small enough hitbox to get underneath those gates that are closing. Typically in a normal run, when you're just starting and playing the game casually, you wouldn't be able to run across that bridge without getting stopped by those gates. So some cool speedrun tech to get us started. I'm sure they'll utilize more mock balls throughout. And Zeb, as I mentioned that, Zeb just pulled off a nice mock ball. It's going to try that down back here. Almost. The down backs are actually quite tricky sometimes. As it looks basically like what it sounds like. You have to press down and then away from Samus, away from where she's pointing, and then she'll actually move forward. So it can be kind of weird to get the muscle memory for that. Zeb picking up the charge beam here. Looks like Mass is also running into those pirates, which again leads me to believe he's heading down to Norfair. But since he's got that extra E-tank, we'll see if he just runs straight into Norfair, whereas I'm expecting Zeb to go down and go to Kraid, so he can kill Kraid and grab the Various suit. All right, those cack attacks there. Zeb just killed one. He's going to kill another one here. They're excellent for refilling on your supers. I think they have like a 99.6% chance of dropping supers, unless you're full on supers, and then they default back to health. But Pretty much anytime you think about how to route some of these, you plan around where those cacks are going to be so you can make sure you have the supers that you need for the green doors and boss doors in the game. Okay, Mass actually doing something different than Zeb did. He's heading back over here to the right. He's going to pick up this reserve tank right here. Another good call if he plans to do some hell running. That reserve tank is actually, in my opinion, an item that a lot more people, when they first start speedrunning, can pick up, because if you're worried about how much health you have for Fantoon and things like that, that reserve tank can be very helpful as you're learning to play the game. Zeb now, as mentioned before, heading into the Kraid's Lair. What he's probably going to do here is use some of his super missiles to kill these pirates. Don't worry, he's not wasting them. If he does it correctly, he should only fire one regular missile here and then all supers afterwards. Because basically what's going to happen here, he could have saved 2 supers, because Mini Kraid there drops a basically like 99.6% chance to drop 4 supers right there. But it's not really going to matter. He's probably going to get enough missiles back after this fight, so it shouldn't affect him either way. And if I remember correctly, I believe Zeb does a charge shot quick kill. So he's going to freeze this arm down and then use 4 super missiles. Oh, unfortunately missed the first one. Was a little low on Kraid's hitbox. That's going to cause Kraid to stand up. So far he's done 300 damage. Kraid has 1,000 hit points or health. So he's going to need to hit him with both of these supers and one more regular missile to efficiently get through this fight. There we go, very nice. Little known fact, because in the speedruns you don't normally see Kraid stand up. And I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think Kraid actually has the largest boss sprite in the game. I think he's actually bigger than any other boss in the entire game. It's kind of funny that he's like the weakest one. Normally you only spend a few seconds in the room. So Mass picking up some super missiles here from the Spore Spawn area, using a nice technique. Normally to get there you'd want to go, you'd have to go kill Spore Spawn and then fall down the shaft. Instead he was able to use, I don't know exactly how to explain it. It has something to do with the camera, but he was able to open up those slots there and then fire a super in there to open up that block and get to those super missiles. Now he's heading down Green Hills, and when he gets to Red Tower, he will also be going down, or at least I would assume. We'll see. He might choose to go up. Zeb picking up this Kraid tank here. Good call. And I expect that he will then proceed to Norfair. Yeah, it looks like Mass is going to go down here. It's a good call. In terms of strategy, I would like to point out that, we just got done having a DAB tournament this summer, community tournament. So we had a bunch of people that participated, and we watched a lot of matches. One of the things that I think is a bit underrated is you really just need to play your game. You don't need to worry about what's possible. You don't need to worry about what other people are doing. You need to think about what you're comfortable with and do it. Because if you're in the middle of a race and you try to start doing things that are like way out of character that you've never tried before, typically you might end up struggling and losing a lot of time. So I like the idea of, even though some people might go Fantoon early, Mass feels way more comfortable going down and getting some extra items, and I feel like that's a better call for him personally. So I think that's a good tactical choice.
That jump that Zeb did was due to not having high jump.
That's right. That makes a lot of the rooms a lot more difficult. So looks like Zeb is being forced, or maybe not forced, but he's making the choice to not pick up the high jump boots here. And so what he's doing here is he's going into the save room to pick up enough dash momentum to be able to jump across Bubble Mountain here. There you go. He got it that time. And it didn't take too long, but one thing that will add up over time, especially when you start speed running and trying to, cut as much time as possible, those door transitions add up very quickly. Somewhere in the ballpark of like maybe 2.5 seconds or so for each one. Also depends on the door alignment, because the doors have to align before the transition begins. So I'm sure he didn't necessarily enjoy going over there to have to go over and over. Okay, looks like Mass is actually going over to Kraid. So maybe I was assuming that he was being assigned to only pick up one of the suits, but maybe that's not the case. Oh, that's a good point. Cross product, who is I want to give a shout out to Cross real quick. Cross is actually participating in a lot of things here at SG Live. Great Zelda randomizer player, great Super Metroid randomizer player, great Super Metroid speedrunner, all the things. But he's making a great point about how Mass can still kill Kraid and not pick up the Various suit, but have access to the Kraid E-Tank. I actually didn't think about that. Nice catch, Cross. Zeb grabbed the speed booster there and is heading down here, looks like to the wave beam location. Mass is trying to clean up the Kraid kill, and we got the double Kraid stand-up glitch, if you will. Showing a little love for the boss here. And as Cross pointed out, MassHesteria kills Kraid and immediately leaves without picking up that Various suit. So that definitely confirms the decision to do some hell running to get that speed booster before going direct ship. But he's definitely going to stop here and grab this energy tank in the next a couple rooms from now. Zeb, meanwhile, picking up the wave beam. In many cases, wave beam really brings a lot of value to a lot of the speed runs. It's actually the second most powerful beam behind plasma in terms of damage, but way more accessible to get, way easier to get than plasma beam. But also gives you the ability to use X factors, which are special beam attacks, with your power bomb. So we'll see if Zeb chooses to use any against any of the bosses he's going to face. I don't think he will against Fantoon. If I recall, I believe he is a runner who uses the Doppler method. I know MassHesteria, on the other hand, though, if he fights Fantoon with wave, he'll definitely try to utilize some X factor strats. Stump, are you a Doppler guy, or are you an X factor guy on Fantoon?
I actually tend toward charge shots.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, so somewhere in between. I feel you. Yeah, I like using those too sometimes. All right, so Zeb, everybody's favorite boss right here. We got Crocomire. You know, I have to say, I actually feel kind of bad for Croc. If you think about it, like Croc's just chilling, and then Samus comes in and into his or her home and basically just kills it. So I'm not sure what Crocomire did to deserve that, but here we are. So Zeb's about to run out of missiles here. Now he's going to start using charge shots. Each charge shot, regardless of the beam damage, will make Croc walk back 2 steps, with the exception being plasma. If you have the plasma beam, you can actually do a shot that causes Croc to basically walk all the way back without doing anything else. Looks like Zeb might be opting to skip the energy tank. That's an interesting call. There's actually an energy tank over to the far right of this room, but I guess he believes he does not need it. Part of the reason Crocomire is so slow is because the boss fight in and of itself is slow, but also you have these animations here, like you just have to sit around and wait for so long for the whole thing to get done. You can't leave the room until it's over. So Zeb's collecting the drops, and now it looks like he's going to head over here to potentially pick up some power bombs, but also the grapple beam is down below. Yeah. I believe, again, sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what runners are thinking, but I believe what Zeb has just realized is he doesn't have high jump boots, so he cannot jump up with the momentum in the room. So instead, he's going to have to do a Shine Spark here. Ooh, that's one of the worst Shine Sparks in the game because it's just so easy to hit that top. There we go. So easy to hit that top portion of the door, but he's going to Shine Spark across and pick up some power bombs. MassHesteria, on the other hand, if you notice, look at his health, constantly ticking down. We call this doing hell runs, which is a sort of a quintessential part of RBO runs. But he's going to need to be really careful. I was just about to say, those guys that are jumping up and down in the lava do the most damage by far of anything during this first hell run sequence, and those are the ones you need to make sure to not run into. Looks like he's probably, he's not going to be able to make it to the end of the room without taking a death. However, I believe he might have a save in the Frog Speedway here, before he went over, so he'll have another shot here. I think sometimes what people might be surprised by is usually in the game when you enter that room or enter those rooms, you already have at least the various suit. And so when you have the various suit or even the gravity suit, the enemies do a lot less damage to you. But when you just have the power suit, a lot of those enemies can do like close to either half or even more of a whole energy tank. So it can be quite difficult. There we go, much better. And he still has 100 in reserve there. So he should be able to make this one. Ooh, he did fall into the lava there. Hopefully he will be able to get out. Okay, nice. Nice job, indeed. Only problem here is what he's trying to do next essentially is get into the speed location, but he's going to have to go through a door transition and then jump through the ceiling before he gets to the bug. So he's going to need to actually probably farm some health because he does not have enough health at the moment to be able to do that without dying. Meanwhile, Zeb appears to be done with his upper Norfair sequence, and I would suspect at this juncture he's going to be heading up to the wreck ship. Right before he left, it looks like he also activated that Norfair map station. That's an easy one to forget. It also requires power bombs, and the only power bomb available to players in Upper Norfair, if you do not go to the red tower to get the early ones, the only ones you can pick up are actually at Crocomire. So, okay, Zeb. Oh, Zeb. Okay, I was wondering for a second what Zeb was up to. It looks like he killed all these rippers on purpose because he's going to infinite bomb jump up the red tower. This is actually a part of DAB that can get really tricky. You don't always think about how the items affect you in different rooms, and then sometimes you'll show up in a location without the items that you need. Basically, to get up this room without the high jump boots, you would need the ice beam, which is sort of like the intended way to get up here, freeze some of the rippers and jump up. Sort of like you learned to do in Nestroid growing up. But here, he doesn't have the high jump boots, and he also doesn't have the ice beam, so he had to take some time to infinite bomb jump. Definitely slower, but at the same time, at least he got up there. You can technically get a short charge there, but it's incredibly tight, and I've seen runners get stuck there for a while, so I think he made the conservative but probably smart call here. Meanwhile, Mass is trying to get up here to these bugs. Looks like he's going to make it. Excellent. So now he gets to chill here and farm these bugs until he gets enough health to go to the speed booster. And he's got more energy tanks than a runner would typically have in an RBO run at this juncture. So if he fills up here, he should be fine to make it to speed booster and back. Stump, do you want to explain here? Zeb's going to have to use like a short charge and a shine spark to get this tank. You want to tell everybody what's happening here?
Yeah, Zeb backtracked into this part of Brinstar for more items, mainly those unlocked by power bombs. And there's enough space up there with proper usage of the dash button to charge a spark and get through those speed booster blocks there, allowing getting to that E-tank without gravity suit.
Excellent. And as you can see, even right now, you know, you're not really intended to be able to get to that item, or the intended way would be to have gravity suit and then just run across the room and pick up your speed echoes. But since he doesn't have gravity, he's going to have to spark in the water, and he does a great job of doing that there. Meanwhile, MassHesteria just picked up, arguably, I mean, Stump, I know how you feel. I'm sure you would argue that Spring Ball is the coolest and best item in the game. It is definitely great.
It really is.
It really is great. But the Speed Booster is also really cool because it lets you do a lot of cool speedrunning tech. I kind of feel like in some ways it's one of the most fun items in the game. You can do Shine Sparks, Speed Balls, all kinds of cool stuff. So this is funny. I feel like Zeb is backtracking to his muscle memory for Rando. He actually has the wave beam. He could literally just shoot the gate up here with the wave beam, but he has forgotten that he can do that, and he shot all of his supers, and he's forgotten that he has the wave beam, and now he's remembered that he has the wave beam, and he's going back in. Very nice. And I promise you, all the people that you hear laughing in the audience, including myself on the commentary, we're laughing because we've done it. We've done it many times ourselves. That's right. Showing off the swag, right? So anyway, Zeb got to pick up that energy tank there. Up to 4 energy tanks. And honestly, unless you're doing hell runs, once you get to like 3 or 4 energy tanks, you know, in this portion of the run, usually it's pretty safe and pretty comfy. We'll kind of wait and see what he's up to here. If you pay close attention, it might not be completely easy to tell, but if you really look at his jump height, you can tell it's quite limited. Number one, he doesn't have high jump boots, but secondly, the second that he presses dash of any kind, that speed booster kicks in a little bit, and that the jump height gets extremely limited. So there are times where like you can't even make a ledge with a jump that you would normally without speed booster. So it makes you play a lot differently. MassHesteria getting ready for his Crocomire fight. Zeb's going to be picking up this energy tank and possibly the super pack, but I probably doubt it. I feel like even if you didn't need the super pack, it might actually be a worthwhile venture just because you'd be sacrificing 1 super for 5. And sometimes supers can be hard to come by, but he believes he doesn't need it, and so he'll continue on here. And it looks like he's going to be picking up the Power Bomb pack from the Edacoon's location as well. And Mass grabbing that Croc energy tank. Zeb, Stump, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say, you know, every time a runner gets here and I'm on commentary, I mention when I first played the game as a kid, I saved the game at the Edacoon's, and then I got stuck in there for hours trying to learn how to wall jump. Did that ever happen to you too?
That didn't happen to me.
No, you're a prodigy, right? Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, some people have a real bad taste in their mouth from being kids and going through that. But if you were able to avoid it, you know, doesn't mean much. But it looks like Zeb here is, I guess he's going to drop a power bomb maybe here and grab this power bomb pack at the Mission Impossible location. Being careful to kill these hoppers. These hoppers do a lot of damage. I think they do 80 damage total if you have on the power suit and 40 if you have on Various, so that's still a pretty significant chunk. Meanwhile, Mass picking up his very first power bomb pack from the Croc location. Oddly enough, once you get to Crocomire, that room with the power bombs, unless I'm mistaken, I believe it is the only room that has heat damage in the Croc location. So every other one is a location where you don't have to worry about heat. And we'll see if Mass is going to decide to go down and pick up this grapple beam here. Yeah, Zeb did a nice job here. That jump is actually quite difficult, especially without high jump boots. He's going to head back into what we call Retro Brinstar or Blue Brinstar. And the purpose here is to pick up some more power bomb packs. I don't know if he's going to path over to get the energy tank. I think he might only need the power bomb pack. That makes me, part of the reason I think that is because of the door. Okay, never mind. He's definitely going to go get it. Zeb will not have to do a damage boost to get this ceiling energy tank the same way Mass did, because he has high jump boots. But actually, this is interesting. Zeb, when he shot those super missiles earlier and lost some of them, he didn't have enough missiles or supers to open that red door. But had to do a couple farms, but he's good now. Oh, I take that back. I forgot. Zeb doesn't have the high jump boots, so he does have to do the damage boost. How about that? Meanwhile, oh, Mash just barely missing the jump up there to grapple beam. And second try, easy peasy.
It is interesting how that jump barely works when you have speed booster but not high jump.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's possible to make that jump without high jump boots and with the speed booster, but not the reverse. Looks like Zeb's about to grab the Mother Brain missiles here. Nice down back strats to get down there very comfortably. Mass about to leave the Crocomire location. And I would assume at this juncture he's probably going to do the Crocomire exit and head up to wreck ship, so he can go finally collect another suit besides the power suit. Zeb, meanwhile, hitting up the 230 missiles. We call them the 230 missiles because there's 230 missiles in the game, and in the 100% item collection run, these are the last missiles you pick up. In fact, it's the last item that you pick up in the run. We also call it 230 because it sounds like tooth hurty, and if you look closely, it looks like it has cavities. So there you go. The dental plan. All right, now Zeb is going to be heading back to the surface area. Might be a good call to not necessarily save here, but I think it would probably be a wise choice to refill at the ship. Not because of the energy, but mainly just because of the supers. You need several supers to get into a wrecked ship, and they also have further utility, like when you get to the attic, which is the big horizontal top room of the wrecked ship. So we'll see if he chooses to or not. I would assume he's probably going to need to. In fact, he technically has to, because the door on the far right of this room is a green door, and he can't open it right now. So he's got to open this green door. There's a green door to get inside wrecked ship. There's a third green door to get to the basement of wrecked ship, and then typically runners will use a super on the boss door down there before Fantoon as well. So and MassHesteria has said goodbye to Hell Runs, never to Hell Run again. As you can see, Mass has the ice beam, so he's going to freeze this Ripper here. Use a few wall jumps, and I know they're doing different runs, but it just kind of goes to show you, depending on what items you have, certain rooms can add a lot more time or not. Zeb had to infinite bomb jump up there, so Mass got through that room a little bit faster. But actually, it looks like Mass is going to head back and collect some things in Green Brinstar as well. Zeb accidentally getting the goop spark there. Gets it on the second try. He's entering the wrecked ship. Meanwhile, MassHesteria trying to pull off a really cool piece of tech called a gate glitch. As you can see, it is possible for a missile to glitch through. He was able to shoot one through, and then now he's manages to hit that blue mark there, or that blue button, and he's heading back up. So there are ways for some of the gates, especially from if you're trying to go through a gate from right to left, you can actually gate glitch not only blue gates but also green gates, which we might see in some of the DAB matches, particularly in Lower Norfair. Zeb here, about to fight Fantoon. Once again, I believe, if I remember correctly, he mostly Dopplers. Maybe he'll surprise us with an X Factor, but let's find out. All right, gets an opening mid-round. Got about, I want to say that was 8, either 7 or 8 missiles in. Fantoon has 2,500 health. In theory, you'd like to hit him with 19 regular missiles and then a super to finish, because the super does 600 damage. I think he's in line to get a 3-round here if he's careful and executes well. He's going to have to do a little bit of a Doppler here. Very nice. Nice cleanup there. One small thing, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but as Mass ran through that door there, he had some of those little beat-ems, or I don't know why we call them frogs. We call everything in Super Metroid frogs. I don't know why the community does that. Every single thing's a frog. But anyway, I have a serious problem calling something that looks like a cricket a frog. But anyway, they were attached to him, and if you pay attention, it causes the game to have to like clear some kind of thing in the system. It has something to do with sound or something, and the door transition is significantly slower with those beat-ems attached to you. So something small, you know, it's not like a huge loss, but there are really a lot of small ways to gain or lose time in this game, and that was one of them. Okay, Zeb getting ready for the attic strat here. It's going to be kind of awkward because he does have the speed booster, but he does not have high jump boots. He was going for a short charge there. Unfortunately, got hit by a couple of enemies, which kind of messed up his momentum. So he's sort of going to the backup of just killing everything with ammo, which I think is a good call. The reason he's got to kill everything is because there are gray doors in this game, and anytime you're in a room that has a gray door, that means that you must kill every creature, or at least a certain number of creatures. I think there's a few rooms where you can get away with not killing every creature, but basically you need to kill a bunch of creatures before that door will open for you. So he had to kill everything before he got through the room. Mass getting ready to do a Shine Spark, I believe, over here. Yeah, to get to this power bomb pack. Nice job. Zeb, meanwhile, picking up those Criteria missiles. This is actually a confusing part of the game because a lot of people consider this the wrecked ship location. It's actually not. If you look at the map, this is a Criteria location. So any of those missiles out there belong to the Criteria portion of the game. Very nice. Zeb getting across bowling, only getting hit twice. So as you can see, Mass has 15, 15, 10 so far in terms of ammo, as well as that grapple beam. Looks like he's now going to get ready to head over to the wrecked ship to do his Fantoon fight. And he's also, even though he still has on the power suit, he does have that speed booster. So he's going to utilize these short charges and Shine Sparks as well to get across the moat. Excellent job. God, those worker robots are so annoying. All right, Zeb skipping that missile pack. He's going to head over here and do a Shine Spark up to break that speed block there. And he's going to pick up his wrecked ship reserve tank. Nicely done. Mass looks like he's getting ready to do a shot. Oh, okay. He was trying to do a short charge attempt there to break that block with a speedball, which is a really cool strat. Just barely missed it, so he bombs instead. Zeb picking up his gravity suit, so he can now move freely in the water. Or maybe I should say liquid, because it does allow you to also move in lava and in acid, although you do take damage. He's grabbing a few more criteria missiles here. And I will take this moment to tell everybody you guys should stick around. We got more cool Super Metroid action coming up after this. In fact, the winner of this DAB race will race in the next race as well. And then after that, we'll have some any percent from our any percent tournament. It'd also be a good time for me to say thank you to Lunaris. I need to give a shout out to him. Lunaris has been the guy working on updating these DAB cards, and he's the one that made the donation at first to have this tournament in this event here at SG Live. So we're really appreciative of him putting this together for us. Fantoon trolling a little bit here, giving a slow round here. And it looks like Mass will be able to clean up this fight with one more round here. I believe he might even have enough damage to hit him with one regular missile and then a super. There we go. Nice job. Zeb, meanwhile, grabbing what we typically call the beta power bombs because, you know, the alpha power bombs are the ones at Red Tower a few rooms below. And then if you need a second pack, you can grab these. So unless I'm mistaken, I believe Zeb was assigned to do row number 1. So Stump, you were talking about earlier, one of your least favorite tiles on this card is that collect the spring ball and skip the grapple beam. Could you, you know, maybe just explain to the viewers a little bit about why that's a difficult trick? Like, what do you even have to do to be able to pull that off?
Well, you have to freeze one of the enemies below the crumble blocks when it's in part of its animation where it's at a specific height, so that when you're in that the space between that and the crumble blocks, you can get pushed through the ceiling.
Yeah, so it's a clip. Basically, you're trying to freeze one of those enemies in a very, you know, pretty specific spot so that you can then jump up into it and then through. However, there are some prodigies out there that are able to get up there without ice clipping. In fact, I believe we saw that in our last any percent run. Mr. Cross Prodigy, did you crystal flash through there? Nice. So maybe I'm misreading the card. Was row 1 not assigned because I couldn't really hear? Is that not going to be what's forced? Oh, okay. Gotcha. We'll have to wait and see indeed. Well, no matter what was assigned, all I can definitely tell you is look at that card. It's getting filled up, right? At some point, we're going to have 2 rows and 2 columns put together. All right, so Zeb using a nice Shine Spark to get up the... we normally call it Mount Everest, but I think, you know, in honor of what's happening here at SG Live, we'll call it Mount Doom. That's what it's called, right? No, Death Mountain. Oh, either way. Wait, is Mount Doom Lord of the Rings? Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm getting it all messed up. Yeah, speaking of which, we got the pressure stream coming up. So, MassHesteria grabbing his gravity suit, and he successfully skipped that various suit, so nice job. Zeb getting a nice X Factor on Botwoon right there. And only going to need a few more supers. Botwoon has arguably the worst hitbox in this game. It's very small. It's very easy to miss some super missiles. That's true. So he's going to pick up this energy tank right after Botwoon. That's a really nice location for an energy tank. Very handy and a variety of runs to have right there, right before you go to fight Dragon. The problem here, I know people were kind of getting hype about a potential full happy here, but let me go ahead and tell you that's not going to happen because there's no high jump boots. So instead, Zeb's going to do the Shine Spark to the top of that room, and then he's going to make his way across the Coliseum. That's what we call this room. We're going to make his way across the Coliseum using a series of wall jumps up these walls here. Mass, on the other hand, is going to the very rarely seen location of the game, at least in normal Super Metroid runs. Going down to the Lost Highway, going into Meridia from the backwards location. And looks like he successfully remembered how to get through that maze. Zeb getting ready for this Dragon fight, which is going to be a little bit more difficult than normal because he does not have those high jump boots. So he's going to have to be really careful about where he wants to spark into Dragon and what kind of momentum he's going to need to have. Oh, he had a very nice opener there. Just barely missed those next two short charges, but he's going to unload some ammo, and if he gets a short charge here, he should be able to clean this Dragon fight up. Not quite. Let's see if he can get it now. There we go. Unfortunately, he ran into some goo, which caused Dragon to basically abandon ship and go off screen there. But he should be able to clean this up. I don't think she has any more than 1,000. Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way she's got more than 1,000 health left. A few missiles clean that up nicely. And Mass, as you can see, is taking the Forgotten Highway. Some really cool rooms you don't typically see.
And the save room that was along there is the reason.
Great point. He's having to do the Meridia saves, and that's one of the Meridia saves, is next to that wreck ship elevator. Although technically it's not a wreck ship, technically it's a criteria elevator, but it's on the wreck ship side of things. Stump, are you a Space Jump fan? I know people are split on Space Jump. Some people love it, some people hate it because they feel like it fails on them. How do you feel about Space Jump?
It's a good item.
It can be very useful, but when it fails on you at the wrong time, it can be very devastating.
Well, very much.
Yeah. One thing a lot of people might not know when they first start playing this game is it's exceptionally easier, like way easier, to use Space Jump when you're in water, because the cooldown on Space Jump is, I think, like either like 1 frame or non-existent, basically. So you can spam Space Jump repeatedly when you're in water. Whereas when you're in the normal air, you have to give it a few frames of cooldown, so the rhythm is a little bit different. Looks like Zeb's heading up here to grab the plasma beam. And he's getting close to being done here. I believe the only thing he has left to do is secure 35 plus power bombs, and he should be good to go. And based on what I've seen, I believe he collected all 25 of the power bombs, and Brinstar probably. Oh, look! Oh, it looks like he feels like he's done. I actually. He might have the 35.
I should have 35.
Okay.
Alpha, beta, criteria, proc.
Yep, he's got it for sure. Because you got all the Brinstar ones, yes? All right, excellent. Nicely done. Really nice time, too. Sub 50. A lot of these new cards have some really difficult tiles on them. And, some of them have been taking a little bit longer than some of the old ones. But that was a great run by zeb316. So he is now, I believe, 1-0 in the DAB tournament. The good news is that MassHesteria is not out of the tournament yet. It's a double elimination tournament. So he'll go to the loser's bracket. And we'll see who he'll face later. Zeb gets to stick around and do another race here in just a little bit. But would you like to do, would it be possible for us to do an interview? All right, Zeb, if you want to come on over. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the late night Super Metroid portion of SG Live 2019. We are joined now by Zeb and MassHesteria. GG, guys. How do you think it went?
GG.
Zeb, we'll start with you. Tell us about your run.
I felt like overall it went pretty well. I did make quite a few mistakes though. Like I definitely should have picked up Ice Beam. I forgot to get the map station. I remember there were a couple of other things that I forgot along the way, but overall, I felt pretty good about it.
Excellent. What about you, Mass? How did yours go?
Yeah, I thought it went pretty good. I think obviously if I had the tricks to get over the moat early, that'd be a big advantage for me. You know, I think Zeb knows I don't, so that was that was a good choice on his part. Of course, the column I got to pair with it was pretty free. So like once I actually got done with all the hell runs, it was really not too bad. It was like, all right, well now I'm done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he got me by a little bit though. So I'm pretty happy with the run. I think I only died once or twice, so that's pretty good.
Hey, you bring up an interesting point, because one of the great things about DAB that we don't really get to see in a lot of the other Super Metroid sort of competitions or formats is, you know, you can actually know what your opponent is maybe strong or weak in certain areas, and then you can try to tailor the pick around some of those decisions. So what do you think was the hardest part for your run, particular, Zeb, this time?
I think definitely Norfair. Norfair with speed booster without high jumps is just horrendous. Like, especially when you're like trying to do all the different tricks that you're used to having high jump with, like all the different wall jumps, and like even like mentioning it again, going back to Red Tower, I had to bomb jump up there, and that was really slow. So
that's a good point. And Mass, even though you took a little time to do those hell runs, we were talking about how it's a good decision to do what you're comfortable with as opposed to getting stuck on something that you don't know how to do or whatever. So that gravity tile can be pretty difficult. But when you were deciding which row or which column to assign, what were some of the things you were thinking about?
Well, I mean, really the name of the game in DAB is inconvenience.
That's right.
So if you can, if the row is going to allow them to skip an entire section, then that's sort of easy, even if it's got big tricks in it or whatever, But if you can avoid, Meridia completely or something like that, and so typically, also if you can get somebody to have to backtrack, right? And so I don't know. Those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. Is there a way to, force somebody to go back and do something they don't want to do?
Great point. Well, we're going to have some more DAB for all the people out there. We hope you enjoyed that one. The next race is going to be the next round of the DAB tournament, which will feature Zeb once again, so you'll have another run, and against me. So that'll be a really fun run. And real quick, I'd like to say thank you to Stump for doing some co-commentary with us. And also, Stump and I had our race earlier tonight. All four of us have been hanging out a lot. We had some IHOP before this, so it's been a really nice night. But we're going to get set up to do the next race, and then immediately after that, we'll have another race between me and Zeb because we have to face each other in the any % race as well. So should be fun, guys. GG. It was a lot of fun watching and commentating, and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you soon.